as he does the whip it, they knock the wind out of they knock the wind out of his stomach, man. And Ricky did this like pushing motion. So it's not like they fucking gut punched him, but they just pushed all they just pushed all the air out of his stomach. An 11-year-old kid, man. What it's fucking already chopping up my words. First sentence. What's up? Welcome back to the pupil's life. If I seem a little bit flustered, it's because I just recorded fucking 5 minutes. And then my glitchy headphones fucked it up. Welcome to the pupil's life. This is a white Mexican story in Austin, Texas. And sometimes it is a completely non-white Mexican's story in Austin, Texas. You know, I got a couple guests coming up that I'm really excited about. And if you're new to the podcast, you know, if you see my face on the thumbnail and only my face, then what you're going to get is me talking about my life and about the things that I learn, talking about my experiences, good and bad, right? Episode 77, I think that was last week's episode, you know, not so great. And that's not a value judgment on the podcast. I'm just saying the experiences that I shared, not so great, right? But the takeaway, dude, fucking what's the word? I don't know. I don't know why I'm trying to think of a fucking saying, but the takeaways were great, you know. Sometimes I need to look at the way that things benefit me and other people in not just like super fucking tangible ways, you know, like say that you're a YouTuber, right? And your goal is to make money, or your goal is to amass a following of people so that you can spread your message to a wider audience. If you're only tracking your progress by how much money you're making, then you might feel like shit often. And similar to that, you know, for me, I sometimes think, you know, all right, who's listening to the pupil's life, dude? Fucking 30 people, if even, right? 30 sporadic listeners. I could be wrong. You know, I don't do any analytics. I don't do any fucking statistic studying. You know, it's very basic here. This is the basic life of the pupil's life. And so it's all really just like my own projections and my own fucking narratives from the past informing how well I think the podcast is doing. That being said, what I was getting to is that last week, the episode I recorded last week, I don't want to say that if I hadn't recorded it, the worst case scenario would have happened. But I will say that because I recorded it, that in and of itself helped me out of a slump. You know, I had just received a thank you for applying, but we are not going to go further with your application email from, you know, my dream job, one of them. And so I was just in the fucking dumps, man. I was in the dumps for 2 or 3 hours after I got the email. And I was thinking about doing some stupid shit, you know? How can I make my life worse, right? How can I make this situation worse for myself? And then, dude, this tiny little voice that has been fucking, it was a little seed that I planted when I started the Pupil's Life, and I've been watering for 77 weeks now. Just watering with fucking some great guests, like Philip McKernan, Aaron Tyler, Quan Wayne, and then also just sort of like letting rot for a couple of weeks when I'm just like fucking like, I don't even want to do this, but I still do it. And I just keep putting it out, and I keep putting it out. And that seed that I've been watering, dude, it fucking flourished, and it saved me from doing some stupid shit, because I said, all right, what if in this moment, instead of jumping straight into that hole of self-pity and self-destruction, I use the Pupil's Life to pull myself out. And I'm not trying to use alliteration, all right? It just so happens that's what happened. But I pulled myself out of the hole, man. You guys pulled me out of the hole. Sometimes you listen to a podcast and you're like, this person just wants my fucking money or my attention or whatever, right? And this could not be farther from the case. If it was money I was after, and if it was attention I was after, dude, I don't think that doing a podcast for, that gets like 15 views on YouTube and fucking, I don't know the analytics, but, if I wanted attention, dude, I would fucking streak through the streets naked. And if I wanted money, then I don't know what the fuck I would do, right? I'm not very good at amassing money. I'm trying to change that. Because I believe that if you want to grow emotionally, part of that means developing a healthier relationship with money, right? If somebody's telling you, and this is kind of me calling myself out, but if somebody is telling you, like, if somebody's trying to teach you how to be emotionally regulated and like connected and all these things and like emotionally like very mature, but they're fucking broke, dude, they are maybe not the people that you should be listening to, unless it's fucking Gandhi or the Buddha or somebody whose message you've like really resonated with, right? Just to like sort of sneak me into that category, then you probably shouldn't be listening to them. Same way that you shouldn't take financial advice from somebody who is terrible handling money. But what I was getting at is that you guys matter a lot. Even if it's 5 people, if it's 1 person, that is something that Philip McKernan really sort of instilled in me through his book and through his podcasts and through even just having a conversation with him, is that if you, by sharing your story and your life and your truth, help at least 1 person, then it was worth it, because you can't put a value on another human life, or, not necessarily, you don't have to like save somebody from death, but like if you help somebody change their life, that's kind of like saving their life. And you guys helped me last week. You guys helped me knowing that I could just come on here and fucking, just pretty much throw myself a pity party. And which is what I needed. I just needed to fucking, that's the thing, man, is that being self-pitiful is okay as long as there's a timeline. Whatever you need to feel is okay as long as there is a timeline, is basically what I'm trying to say. So if you're in a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend and you're fucking fuming, dude, and you're just angry and you want to fucking like, you want to say the craziest a marriage story type shit you can think of, that's okay as long as there's a timeline on the feeling, and in that case, as long as you don't fucking involve the other person, say it to the wall, dude, or fucking, even if you do say it to the other person, I mean, I don't know how crazy you're going to get, but even if you do say it to the other person, what matters is not that you make a mistake. What matters is that you take ownership for it. And so what matters is not that you don't feel something, but rather that you feel it so you can stop letting that kind of inform your decision making, right? Which is what I was doing. I was letting my feelings of rejection and feelings of, I'm not good enough and I'm mediocre get the best of me. And I was thinking, well, if that's all I am, then I might as well act that way. And that's why I was thinking about doing some stupid shit. But instead, I'm like, well, what if I just try and cheer myself up a little bit? And what if I just use this fucking podcast so that other people can see what it looks like to be pitiful? And I don't know, I'm also too hard on myself. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. Because at the end of the day, I don't listen to very many podcasts. I don't watch that many movies. I don't listen to, thought leaders all that much. And when I do, I very actively try to discern, all right, this is what they think. How do I feel about that? Instead of just fucking like, they think this, so that's what I'm going to think, which is what a lot of people do with, I'm not even going to get into it, but, and the reason I don't listen to a lot of stuff is because I know that everything that I listen to is someone else's programming trying to program me, not consciously. I'm not saying that, I'm not doing this podcast consciously trying to program you to see the world the way that I see it. But at the end of the day, if you're vulnerable enough and if you're fucking in a very just like, I just need somebody to tell me what to think state of mind, then you might hear some shit I say and then think like, yeah, that's what I'm going to think from now on. And I don't think that's not what I want. That's not what I wish for anybody listening to this. My desire, and what I try to do, the reason I actively try not to listen to other people so much is for you to see me throwing myself a pity party and then form your own opinion of that and be like, all right, well, the very next episode, he seemed like he was feeling a lot chipper, a lot happier, so what am I going to learn about that? Not what is he telling me he learned about that so that I can then just think that, I'm getting a little bit meta, man, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? What is it this week? I do feel a lot better. I will say that. And I, what else, man? What is it? It's so hard now to think of what to say. Anytime I go back into these grooves of like being kind of unemployed, it's just like, all right, what movie did I watch 4 days ago? What book am I reading? It's just like, I don't know. It's one of the things I'm still in the process of potentially getting a job for a very big YouTuber. And he lives in the UK where they're fucking locked down. And he puts out so much content. And all of it is just him talking into a camera. It's really well edited and really very informative. It's all very useful. I'm not putting the content down, but I'm just like, there's no excuses, There's no excuses for the amount of content and the amount of things that you could be talking about, even if you're in quarantine. But that's just me, It's just me it's funny, man, how I just like, I expressed a difficulty that I'm going through, and then I immediately fucking find something to be like, well, you shouldn't be feeling that way, you pussy. You know what I mean, dude? Where's that? Where does that come from? You know, is that like one of my ancestors just fucking taking over for me for a 30-second guest spot on the pupil's life? I watched a movie. I watched a movie this week, and it was fucking, dude. It's like, I think the thing about when you stop watching as many movies or TV shows, what I've found is that you enjoy simpler shit that you had stopped enjoying. You know, like my favorite TV show right now is Shark Tank. This is the most basic fucking TV show you could think of. Is just like talking heads, right? It's fucking, well, here's this thing. What do you guys think about this thing? Oh, well, here's why it doesn't work. And, you know, just people discussing something. And it's very fucking old school TV. But yeah, I saw this movie. It's I think it's a Swedish film or a Danish film called Another Round. I think when the fucking titles came up, I think it was in Swedish or Danish, but it said druk. And I'm like, does that mean another round? Is like one word mean two words in Danish or Swedish? But anyway, the movie stars Mads Mikkelsen, who, if you don't know by name, probably know by his very, very famous role in the TV show Hannibal. He was Hannibal. And like a younger version, not the Anthony Hopkins, but it's a movie about four like early 50s, late 40s men that are teachers at a Danish school. And they are all sort of like bored, and they're all kind of boring too. You know, you see Mads Mikkelsen go home. His wife, when he gets home, his wife is like, all right, I'm going to my night shift. Fucking, they never see each other. They don't even like, you know, they don't have sex anymore. And it's just like one of those, like, goddamn, man. Like they've got the kids, they've got the jobs, they've got each other, but it's also like, is this all that it is? Is this all that life is? Right? They're missing that fucking joie de vivre. And and so one of them, the younger one of the group, of course, they all get together for somebody's birthday at like a fancy restaurant, and one of them's like, bring me the fucking Cabernet Sauvignon, and 4 of those, right? And one of them, Mads Mikkelsen, is like, I don't know, I don't drink. And then they bring the fucking wine or whatever, and the guy starts talking about how this old psychologist from I don't know what era had studied and tried to run an experiment with the thesis that, or with the theory or thesis that human beings are born with a 0.05 blood alcohol level deficiency. So these 4 old fucks decide that they're going to test that hypotheses, and keep their blood alcohol level at 0.05 to make up for the 0.05 deficiency, right? So that they can be at a 0.00, assuming that the theory or hypothesis is right. They need to get that 0.05 up, right? Just to get to the 0. And that's where it starts, man. And that's where it starts. You know, it just keeps getting more and more and more fucking dumb. Not the movie, but their decisions. you know, like at one point, I'm not going to spoil the whole thing for you, but at one point they're like, you know, we need to go up. We need to do more than 0.05. Um, you know, and they all work at a school, so they fucking start sneaking in, you know, little handlebars of tequila and vodka and just taking swigs in the men's restroom. It's a very it's funny, but it's also a real like serious drama. Um, but it's also fun. I forget what song it is. I think it's just instrumental, but there's a moment where they're all like, you know, just fucking done with it and they're like excited to start their little drinking session for the day. And it's a very Tarantino-esque song that plays. One of them puts it in the vinyl and it's just like fucking they start drinking and you feel like, oh fuck yeah, dude, like, ooh, like drinking, dude, yeah, fucking, like there's some scenes where you do just feel like, man, like there is something about getting drunk. You know. So on one hand, I don't know, I'm sure that a fucking, you know, little fucking sensitive ass social justice warrior might look at that and be like, this is a dangerous movie because if somebody watches it, they're going to drink and they're going to become an abusive husband. Just like take all the credit away from the individual and blame this foreign film. I will say though, I saw some scenes and I was like, fuck, dude, should I start drinking again? um, but no, I say all that in jest. Um, so the movie's called Another Round, and it's not a masterpiece by any means. It's not, you know, like a must see, but it's just like if you're tired of all the Netflix bullshit and you want something that you got to read to watch, uh, that is different. You know, it's a little bit different than what you're used to. Then Another Round, starring Mads Mikkelsen. I will say I highly recommend it. I'm not going to say it's a fucking masterpiece, but I will say I highly recommend it. What else, man? What did I do this week? What have I done this week? Oh, dude, my one of my elementary school friends just moved to Austin, Texas, and I don't think I ever imagined the day when one of my Mexican friends would live in Austin, Texas with me. And it's so surreal. You know, it's so surreal. He and I weren't like best friends, but we were good friends on and off, right? I left for sixth grade and then he left for like eighth grade and 10th grade and 12th grade, right? So there was just like a lot of time away from each other. But we maintained the friendship to the extent that in my first year in Austin, I mean, he was already living in Texas, so it was a little bit easier. He was living in Abilene, going to a Christian university there. And so when I moved to Austin and he went there, he came to visit me. And then I hadn't seen him, I don't think, for, unless it was in Mexico, I hadn't seen him in the US since then, which was almost 5 years ago. And now he's living in Austin, man. And there's just something like, you know, one of my goals for 2021 in my napkin plan was to make a new friend. And in a way, it's like, all right, I don't, he was an old friend, right? But I now have a new friend in Austin, Texas. And it's not, you know, it's not like you got to work on it, you got to do, it's just like, dude, when you got a friend from elementary school that has been growing along with you, like in their own ways and their own journey, but that they've been growing, right? They're not like still just getting fucking plastered every day and doing a bunch of drugs and like, you know, when that happens, it's just like you don't have to do any work. You know, like when he first time he was here, I think I first time I saw him was like fucking this what it's today. Today's Saturday. I saw him I think last Saturday. And we just went to Alta's Cafe here in Austin. Beautiful, like gorgeous view, man. And just such a peaceful place to go and be and just exist, almost like you're in nature. And we just caught up, man. We just caught up. He got a job, I think, at like an accounting firm or something. I'm not sure. And they fucking set him up right. He's like, I'm set for life, basically. And he's not one of those firms that he's going to be working like 100 hours at. Like he's really glad or really happy with his situation. And then the second time was yesterday, Friday night. He came over to my place, right? He had said like, let's grab a beer. And I was like, dude, just come over to my place. I'll fucking cook us dinner, bring a bottle of wine, dude, you know, and just talk for 3 hours. But like, you just have memories that you can talk about, dude. Like some of the shit he was telling me was killing me. It was killing me. And I forget that, you know, I have friends in Austin that can make me laugh like that, but I forget there's just this slight difference in like Mexican laughter. You know, when somebody from Mexico and somebody that I'm close with, we're just fucking trading stories back and forth. It's almost like two comedians just fucking, you know, trading stories and stories, not because we're that level of funny, but because comedians are generally like old friends. And he told me, dude, we were talking about how fucking weird it was to grow up in Cancun. And he said, yeah, we were just exposed to like a lot at a really early age. Like I did whippets for the first time when I was like 11. And I was just like, I tried to top that story by saying I blacked out drinking tequila at 13. And then he was like, oh yeah, dude, well, I did whippets at 11. And when he told me the story, he said that one of his neighbors was 4 years older than him, right? So a 15-year-old had his hands on whippets and was like, hey, Ricky, my friend's name is Ricky. He's like, hey, Ricky, you know, like, let's go fucking do some crazy shit. So Ricky and this guy and like two other kids that all live in the same apartment complex, right? They go and stand up against a wall, and Ricky is like the third one to do it. But so I don't know how you do whippets, but he basically fucking does the whippets. And as he does the whippet, they knock the wind out of they knock the wind out of his stomach, man. And Ricky did this like pushing motion. So it's not like they fucking gut punched him, but they just pushed all they just pushed all the air out of his stomach. An 11-year-old kid, man. An 11-year-old child. Just like fucking, like his parents aren't home, and he goes and hangs out with a German foreign exchange student who's like, dude, let's do whippets. It just fucking like just fucking gets the wind knocked out of him. He said he blacked out. And he just said as soon as they knocked the wind out of him, he blacked out and just fucking collapses, wakes up. He doesn't know what happened. And I don't know, dude, there's stories like that as he's telling, even me trying to tell you that, I'm having a hard time not laughing. But it's one of those stories that's both fucking hilarious, but also kind of like poor little kid. And that's why it's funny. You know, like when somebody can tell you a story of something that doesn't look really that good for them, but that they did at an age when they were kind of naive. It's fucking some of my favorite material, you know? Like one of the stories that I told him and my brother was and I might have told this before. I was 18 years old and I was in my senior year of high school. And one of my classes was law, Mexican law, like Mexican rights and law. And it was taught by this professor named Ephraim or something like that, I think is the translation. Doesn't matter. In class one day, he fucking was like, listen, kids, I know you all are starting to drive cars. Some of you have been doing it for a couple years now. So I want to teach you about what your rights are when you're pulled over. If and when you're pulled over, these are your rights, you know. And basically he started listing what our rights are and how to handle the situation. And one of the things he said was, it is totally 100% within your right to ask a police officer to show you his police ID or badge or something to identify him as a police officer. And it's very important that you do that in Mexico because you never know, right? They might be a fucking cartel member, a narco, a fucking serial killer on the loose. So cut to a couple weeks later, I drive to the casino, you know, around 10 p.m. I go to a tournament and I bring with me only enough money for the tournament buy-in and maybe like a meal, you know, or a pack of fucking gum or something. And so I lose the tournament, right? It's 2 a.m. by the time I lose, and I don't make any of my money back. So I'm cashless. And I am driving back home. No cars on the street, no fucking nothing. And I am pulled over because I was going 70 on a 65. You know, one of those cops. And so the cop, you know, starts walking. I roll my window down and I'm just thinking about my law class and about my rights. And he says, do you know why I pulled you over? All of this in Spanish, of course. You know why I pulled you over? I said, I think I was going over the speed limit. He says, yes, you were. You know how fast you were going? And I say, I know exactly how fast I was going. I was going 5 kilometers over the speed limit. And he says, yeah, this is a very dangerous zone to be going over the speed limit at all, though. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. How do you want to fix this is what he said. And I'm like, dude, you know, I know what you're trying to imply, but I don't have any money. I just came back from the casino. I just lost all my money. So I know what you mean. Unfortunately, can't help you there. So I don't know how do we want to fix this? And he says, well, then I guess I'm going to have to give you a ticket. And I'm just like, dude, this fucking guy, you know, I hate injustice. And I hated it even more when I was a teenager. So I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm just going to try to get one in, you know, get a little fucking jab in. So so he goes back to his car. And when he comes back, before he can say anything, I tell him, excuse me, is it possible for you to show me some identification just so I can make sure that you're a real cop? And he starts giggling or like fucking chuckling with his police partner. You know, like fucking get a load of this kid. Get a load of this asshole. Thinks he's got rights. Doesn't he know he's living in Mexico, dude? We're the fucking law here. And So this guy, he looks me straight in the eyes. He looks me straight in the eyes and he says, "You know, you're playing with your life, don't you, kid?" And I nearly shit myself when he says that. I nearly shit myself when he says that, because there's no traffic, there's no cars, there's no people. It's just me and two police officers, right, that have machine guns in their car. And I said, "Yes, police. Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. Apologies. Just fucking write me the ticket and I'll be on my way." You know, so it's a little funnier when you tell it in Spanish, but just stories like that where it's, you know, you got the finger, basically. I think it's some of the funniest shit. And it's self-deprecating, but I don't think that's like quite what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about you just being like, "Yeah, haha, I don't think I'm that funny, haha," fuck, like being like a fucking annoying guy. So yeah, man, just having Ricky and Austin feels like a very, you know, like a boost. And even though I hadn't seen him in forever, it's just immediately like no time had passed, you know. And he has sort of helped me with some of the interviews that I've been going on and job applications, right? So like, he's one of the few friends I have that I feel like I can learn something from, and who is like really doing something with his life, you know. And he's also one of the few friends I have that from Mexico who is also has a U.S. nationality, so he can move to the U.S. Right. But yeah, man, it's just awesome. It's been great having a buddy back. It almost feels like I mean, I've never gone to war, but it feels like what I imagine it would feel like if you were in war and you lost one of your soldiers or your one of your troop, and then like 3 days later, as you're fucking heating up some fucking water for you and your other guys, and you're all like bandaged up, lying in dirt in the fucking Vietnam jungle. As you're doing that, the soldier you lost is like fucking like starts crawling with one arm towards you. And you're just like, "Fuck, dude, I thought I had lost you. I thought I had lost you." And yeah, I don't know. That's a poor metaphor, but you get what I'm saying. We're going to go play tennis on Monday when the podcast comes out, and I'm fucking ready, man. You know, I'm fucking ready, dude, to get fucking, you know, start fucking moving around the court and just fucking your feet start gliding. Dude, playing sports. I also joined a fucking flag football league with some of my American friends. And that starts sometime in February. And I'm excited about that too. I'm just excited to get back out there. You know, one of the reasons that I want to get like a fucking, you know, a realer job is so that I can buy a vehicle and start living my life again. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to fucking hop in my car, dude, and drive to like Dallas, see what Dallas is like. And then if I don't like Dallas, hop back in my car and drive to fucking, you know, what's the name of that place by the ocean? Texas town. It's in that documentary of the serial killer. I don't know, man. Where they ship all the fish from. I know you know it. Yeah, of course you do, dude. Yelling it into the fucking mic isn't gonna. Yelling it into the computer isn't gonna make me think of it, but it's right there. You've got it, and it's on the tip of my tongue. I just want a car, man. I just want a car. I was talking to Ricky about this. about how having a car is almost like having an extension of your home. You know, it's just somewhere that if you're sick of being in your home, you can hop in another home and take it with you somewhere else. Like, I wish I could just go on more hikes, but I can't afford to be paying $15 for an Uber to take me there and $15 for it to pick me up. You know, that's just not within my budget. But when I was in California, when I was in college, I had my own car and I could just fucking, you know, put on some music, dude, and fucking, you know, start driving. I can't really pantomime activities with the setup for the podcast that I have right now because of how tight it is. But and I just signed another 9-month lease in this space. So strap in, because the pupil's life is going to be here for another 11 months. Because I still have 2 left on the fucking, you know. Dude, what else? What the fuck else, man? 40 minutes in, we still got another 20. I've been working on my new book, and I've thought of a title for it, a name for it, and a subtitle. And I'm also sort of thinking about articles that I'm gonna write for promoting it. Sorry, I fucking lost my body there for a second. I don't know, man. I miss writing on Medium. You know, the thing about starting a book is that it sort of that becomes all of your writing in a way. And I'm at the fucking tail end of it. You know, the danger is greatest when the finish line is in sight, is what it says right there on my wall. And it's true, man. I'm just fucking 30, 35, 40,000 words away from being done with it. I've got like 63,000 right now. So this will be probably the longest thing I've written. And my hope and my belief with what I've seen so far is that it'll be the best thing too. It'll be the most helpful for you or anyone else reading it. And it'll be helpful for my career. I've already got some ideas for, you know, some pivoting that I could make with the help of this book. So I don't know. We'll see, but I'm really excited about where it's going, and I'm excited to share more about it with you guys, but I'm also just of the mindset that, you know, finish what you're doing before you start talking about it. Unless you're in the planning phases, right? But then again, if you're in the planning phases, talking to yourself about it on a podcast isn't necessarily going to help. But I'm doing that, and I want to get back on Medium. I want to get back on Medium and start getting guests again. Sorry for that squeaking noise. Start getting guests on the podcast again. I've got one that I'm recording on Wednesday. It'll be coming out on Friday, the Friday after you listen to this episode. And haven't recorded it yet, but I can already tell you, dude, it's going to be one of those fucking, like, one of those epic ones, you know? And then the week after that is, I think, is it? Yeah, the week after that, dude, I've got fucking just like one of those, like, how did I get him on the podcast guests, you know? And I was supposed to have a third one, even more, how did I get this guy on the podcast guest, but I didn't get him because I don't have enough of an audience, which is bullshit, man. You know, it's bullshit. It's bullshit when you get to a place where you're so big that you think you don't need to sort of drop some breadcrumbs in the lake for the smaller fish. But I get it. You know, I get it. He probably gets like 10 podcast offers per week, and they've all got at least the 50,000 people listening, right? So it's like that to him is a little fish. And I am just like a fucking plankton, you know? I'm a plankton, dude. What the fuck is it going to help him to feed a plankton? I'm just going to get absorbed by another fish. But that guy was I don't need to tell you the name, but I emailed him. He emailed back like, hey, yeah, that would be great. I'll put you in touch with my assistant who knows my availability better. And then she was like, hey, just fill this form out on our website. And I was like, fuck, dude. I specifically didn't fill it out because I thought I would have a better chance if I just emailed you directly. But I fill it out, and then she gets back to me and she's like, get back to us when you've got 50,000. And I'm like, 50,000, dude? You know? When I have 50,000 of you, dude, you know what that means? This guy's going to be dead by the time that happens. So that was a bummer, but that was a while ago. But yeah, I've got 2 books that I'm reading, that I'm going to start reading this week. And I'm excited to see if they're any good, and then potentially reach out to those guests as well. Been going on dates. That's been, you know, I think the thing about online dating is that it comes and goes. You know, it comes in waves. I'll talk about my experience. You know, I would say that from like late October to fucking late December, zilch. Zero, dude. 0 dates. And I just thought, like, maybe there's something wrong with me, you know? Am I the only one not getting dates? Because I've gone on dates where the other person I'm with says, oh, it's so easy to go on dates right now. And I'm like, fuck me then, right? But then, you know, January comes along, and all of a sudden I've got, you know, 1 date, and then another one, and then another one. And all of them have been, you know, fantastic people. So in a way, I think the thing that I like about dates is that even if it doesn't, you know, even if you don't ever see each other again, even if it doesn't sort of work out, or even if you don't want it to work out, sometimes you still really enjoy just that one night, you know, and it helps you practice sort of to tell your story, and it helps you practice sort of learning about someone else and asking questions and asking good questions and sort of gauging if you have a connection. There's a lot that you can learn from going on dates, even if the dates do not go well. Not to say that my dates have not been going well, but just because I know that, like me, a lot of other guys out there get discouraged. So that's been nice, but yeah, it comes and goes, and it's almost like emotions. The online dating apps, they're kind of like emotions, right? Like a dry spell will come your way, and you'll think that is all that online dating apps are. The same way that, you know, you'll be feeling super depressed one day, and you'll think like, my whole life is depressing. And then a week later, you know, you go for a walk, and you're just like fucking appreciating all the trees and all nature and birds, you know, birds chirping everywhere and dogs running around with their tongues out. And you're like, how was I so depressed a week ago? Like, dude, look at the earth. Look at fucking Madre Naturaleza, you know? How was I neglecting her? And it's like, then, you know, January comes along, and you're like, oh, dude, fucking online dating apps. Woo! You know, like fucking, that was a terrible woo. But they come along and then you're like, oh dude, no, dating apps really do work, and et cetera, et cetera. And like people that think they don't, you know, and then you can't understand how you ever thought that they didn't work. Um, all that to say that one of my notes on my podcast notes for something to talk about for the past 2 months had been like lack of dates and how I'm feeling about that. Right. And I just sort of kept forgetting to talk about it. And now I don't feel that way. And so it's like, all right, well then just having that note there though allowed me to look at it 2 months later and be like, now I don't feel that way. Oh, so I don't have to attach myself to this fucking transient, whatever. Why do I always think of two words that could be the one word I'm looking for? You know, is that just a product of fucking doubting yourself in every area of your life? I don't know. I do not know, but yeah, that's been that. And I also, for the second part of my current book that I'm working on, I sort of made this outline of like, all right, I want to be a little bit more direct with help. How have I helped myself in the nearly 2 years that I've been single? Because I'm hard on myself, right? So my first thought is always like, you're not doing any work, you fucking idiot. Look at you, dude. You don't have a job. You don't have as much money as this other guy. You don't have this. You don't have that. You're not doing any work. And that's just not true. And so I fucking made it a point to, all right, sit down and just go through the 2 years and what have you been doing, right? And it was like, all right, dude, I quit smoking weed. I went to 2 different support groups. I went to an event where I grieved the death of my godfather a year after he passed with a bunch of other women, all of us crying, dude. And it was fucking fantastic. I've done fucking improv comedy, dude, and that's helped me a lot. I tried stand up. I am doing the 60 minutes of meditating, and I've been doing that for almost 60 days. I cry a lot more now, and I have things that help me cry. You know, I have music playlists that help me cry. I've let go of some friendships, and I've let go of some family, and I've let go of some relationships that were not serving me and that were not serving them either. I exercise again. You know, I go for nature walks. There's just so many things, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's not even the meat, you know. And there's so many things, and so that's how I've been structuring the second half of the book is like, you know, there's one of the topics is like, I said I wasn't going to talk about this, and yet here I am talking about it. My point is, I've been trying to take stock of and sort of measure growth instead of just having my default operating system tell me that I'm not growing and that I'm a piece of shit. Yeah. I don't know if there was something else to that, but that's all that came out of my brain. This is the pupil's life, man. Dude, I gotta get sponsors soon. That's on my like this year to-do list. But I don't even know if, you know, who wants to be sponsored by something that is heard by very few people. I don't even know if sponsors work that way. I would assume just because that you're trying to get ads that's how it works. But if you're listening to this and you know of anybody that would like to fucking sponsor the pupil's life, that'd be dope, man. To have like an ad that I could read, that would be funny. Yeah, but I've got somewhere to be pretty soon, and I got to take the fucking bus to get there. So I'm gonna wrap this one up a few minutes short. This is the pupil's life. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. so that you can enjoy it a little bit more. If you liked the episode, then click the button that says that you liked it. And if you didn't like it, there's a button for that too. I have my Instagram, authored by Nick. I have a Facebook, a Twitter, all that bullshit, man. If you want to find me on there, you can find me on there. And there's also my newsletter. That's the one I'm trying to fucking focus on most, I would say, is sendfox.com/NIKOAGF. And if you sign up there, you'll get an email once a week, no more. And you can unsubscribe anytime. I will never spam you. And what you're going to get are book recommendations, healing tools, writing prompts, all that kind of stuff. All the sort of like self-healing type mumbo jumbo. But you're going to get it from a mid-20s perspective, right? So if you're in your mid-20s and you don't want fucking to sign up for Brené Brown's newsletter because you're like, what does this 45-year-old woman have in common with me? Then maybe you can consider signing up for mine at sendfox.com let me start that over. sendfox.com/NIKOAGF. That's Nico AGF. AGF, what does that stand for? Someone asked me at the store the other day. Those are my middle and two last names. And fun fact, I got teased for having that email by my brother and some of his friends growing up, because what other word does AGF form? Yeah, you can piece that together yourself. But yeah, that's the pupil's life. Thank you all for listening. I'm happy to have you all, whether it's all or uno. This is for you and for me, and we're both in this together. I'm looking forward to sharing the two guests that are coming up, and thank you all for listening. I will see you next week. Take care.